Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop. This week I'm tackling a 57 Chevy Gasser. As always, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. So Paul over at Diecast Graveyard issued a sort of a challenge, I guess you could say, to build a race car or a gasser out of something that wasn't originally. We could use a gasser base if we so chose. And I kind of hemmed and hawed on this one. I decided to go with this 57 Chevy. The paint and the flames I just thought were really nice, and it was something I really didn't want to touch, the actual paint work, for a change. Usually first thing I can't wait to do is strip and paint, but in this case I decided not to. This is just a straight, regular casting plastic base. I've got these gasser wheels that I'm going to put on, so fat in the back, skinny in the front, and I just thought they'd look kind of cool on a 57. So obviously taking it apart, tapping it, and I've got a couple different motors that I'm going to try to kind of see what I'm going to go with. I've got a metal one, I've got a plastic one, I got a bunch of different ones, so I wasn't 100% sure where I was going to go at this point of the build, but I did know I have to cut the little tabs off the bottom of the wheel bases, so I'm going to start by doing that. Being a plastic base, obviously it's pretty easy. Those side cutters are a lifesaver. And I've got this metal or brass rod and tubing that I have a bunch of different ones. And this is the 1/16 K&S tubing. So I'm going to start off and make some axle tubes, because no matter what I do, that's pretty much a necessity on this particular casting. The brass cuts pretty easy. I happen to use a cutoff disc, but you can pretty much use whatever you so desire. Right now I'm just trying to get the right length, and then I'm going to drill some holes, 4 holes, 2 on each side, with my pin vise, and then I'm going to use the aforementioned brass, it's not tubing, it's actual rod, and I want to say it's 32nd. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but I'm going to use it to make my leaf springs for the front. This stuff, what I like about it is it's very pliable. You can bend it in almost into a 90. You can bend it with a soft radius. You can pretty much do anything you want. And you can do this with a paper clip as well. I've never had good luck with paper clips. I end up bending them too much and they snap or whatever, but I also buy the cheap ones, so that could have something to do with it. So I'm trying to find the right tool to use that's going to be the radius that I'm looking for. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And coincidentally, my pin vise is actually the right diameter, so I'm going to use that to bend right in the middle, and then I'll stick both ends through the 2 holes on each side that I drilled and try to get it as level as I can. So that's going to be where my axle for the front is going to sit, and kind of give it that gasser look. It's a little bit of finagling. It's nothing outrageous, and there's a lot of different ways to do this, and this is just one of, I would say it's the easiest, but for me it was the easiest. So after I've got that, I have to put a little notch in each side of the axle tube, so that when I stick my axles in, I can apply some glue and not have to worry about the wheel sticking to the actual tube itself. So it works out pretty good, and I do that while it's on a piece of axle tubing, so that way the pieces don't get lodged inside, and I know I haven't gone too far since I'm using a cutoff wheel. I'll just pick out a little bit on the inside there just to make sure everything's out, but for the most part it's good to begin with. So because I'm going to be putting an engine sticking out of this thing, I'm going to drill 4 holes or 5 holes, I'm not sure. I don't remember what I did until I actually watch the video sometimes, because I usually narrate these things after the fact. So because I'm not planning on repainting this, I masked everything off just in case. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if I had to repaint it, but I did really like this paint job on this particular casting, so I was doing my best to try to be as safe and precautious as I could be. And once the holes are drilled, I can use my jeweler's saw and a file to kind of clean out the hole to the exact size I need. As you can see right there, looks pretty good. And what I like about this is the you can see right there the way that the interior piece actually goes all the way forward. It makes a perfect spot to actually rest a motor on. So because of all the cutting, if you remember at the beginning of the video, I said I wasn't sure whether I was going to go with plastic, I was going to go with metal. I decided to go with plastic because there's going to be a lot of cutting and grinding to get this thing to fit in there just right and sit on that interior piece. So plastic was just much easier in my book to work with. And kids, if you are watching this, you're not supposed to be, but if you are, don't do what I'm doing right now. That's a good way to cut your fingers off. Or this. So yeah, there's a little bit of trimming, cutting, and trying to make sure it was level. The engine was obviously a little bit bigger, but I want to be able to put it in after it's been assembled and glue it down. So that's kind of why I'm doing it this way. Just makes it easy. I always try to think about how I'm going to assemble things. So it just works out pretty well that way. Another cool thing I really dig about this and why I picked this casting is because it did have the yellow tinted glass, which I hate, but on a gasser it looks awesome. So you can see right now I masked off the front and rear bumper, and I'm going to paint the base black. And then since it was a new casting anyways, the windshield was already decent. This is my second attempt with this gauzy. Again, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I actually like the Pledge Future Shine much better, but personal preference. They all work the same. Just make sure you cover it so you don't get any dingleberries on it while it's drying, because it does take a while to dry. So as usual, if you guys are interested, I do have a Patreon page with multiple tiers. I always try to release things first there, and I do a lot of giveaways, so make sure you check it out. That was blatant self-promotion. I don't do it very often, so I've been getting my balls busted for not promoting myself as much as I should be. So as far as the body goes, there really wasn't a lot to it. Obviously, I took my chrome pen. I'm going to hit the headlights, and then I'll hit it again with some pearl white just to kind of give it that effect. And then the tail lights, because everything was painted black, I'm going to hit that with the chrome as well, and then I'll touch it up with some signal red. Now, the only thing I regret about this build is the way this base is. The bottom of it's flush with the bumper and the grille. I would have liked to have cut the grille and bumper out, but I didn't because there was no way to make it look right. But would have done it true gasser style. It really would have. I think it would have made a huge difference. But I guess not everything goes according to plan, and you can't always do exactly what you want. So after I painted the base, I'm going to hit the side pipes with my chrome pen. And then because the interior is so cool, I decided to kind of go with that classic black and white interior, and also with the steering wheel. And it just really pops, I think. And that's Citadel Abaddon Black, if you're paying attention. I use mainly Citadel paints on my details. A, because it's water-based, and if I screw up, I can clean it up easily. And B, I happen to have them, so it works out really good, and they last forever. So, personal preference again. But you can see right there how cool that looks. Really, really, really stands out. On the grill, I'm going to use my black wash just to kind of, which you can't see because my hand's in the way, but I'm going to just to get the details and kind of bring out the recesses in there and make it stand out just a bit more. But I did do a lot of detail on the actual front because the nose of a 57 Chevy is iconic, and I want to make sure I did it justice. And then I'm taking like an orangey red. Don't remember the color, to be honest with you. And I'm doing, it's not really pronounced on the actual casting itself on the base, but you can kind of see where the motor oil pan would be sticking down. So I'm just touching that up right now. So it gives a little bit of realism. Not that we really flip the cars over to see, but it's there, and I know it's there. So because I did want to keep the paint job on this, I decided to try polishing it. Now I have a swirl remover polisher that I use on a regular basis from Chemical Guys, but I figured for shits and grins I'd give it a try with the actual same polish that I use to polish the casting out to chrome, just to see A, how it was going to react with the clear coat that Hot Wheels puts on, and B, just, curiosity killed the cat. and it worked pretty good. I liked it. I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. And I'm using the harder buffer wheel. I'm not using the soft one. I'll go back over it after with that. But yeah, it really, really brought out the shine. I mean, the only other thing I think I could have done is maybe give it a light wet sand and then buffed it. But overall, it actually worked pretty good. So I just, again, every once in a while I like to experiment, but you can see it really, really makes it pop and brings that shine out. So I did the whole casting that way, and overall I like it. So then that's the little softer one. I just go back over it real quick with that just to get any residue, or just give it that final polish to make sure it looks pretty cool. But yeah, this paint job with the flames and everything, it had a little bit of metallic in it, so I just thought it was really cool. And I hated to paint over it. Very few times does Hot Wheels get a paint job right and make me want to keep it. So, like a lot of the 53 Chevys that they have, and then this particular one for the 57 is pretty cool. I think the 66 Nova, the red and the black one with the flames, I kind of dig that one too. So that might be ones I wouldn't touch. Other than that, I'd cut everything up and repaint it. So here's all the pieces, parts all put out and laid out for final assembly. This overall was fun. I like this. This was kind of a no pressure. This is what I ended up with. I think the stance is perfect. I really dig it. And I'm kind of glad Paul over at Diecast Graveyard put this challenge out. It was fun. And make sure you check Paul out. He has some amazing videos, and he just explains things so well. I feel like I'm back in class. So it's definitely got to make sure you check him out. I'll put a link in the description down below. So once again, stick around to the very end because I'm doing my Wicked Pissa jar, and that's about it. I think this came out really good. I like it. I hope you guys like it too. I always welcome comments down below. I try to respond to all of them. So after the glamour shots, stick around for the Wicked Pissa jar. My Wicked Pissa jar. Every week I try to do one car and add to it, and this is something I'm going to be giving away when I hit 14,000 subscribers. I started off with this, went to that. I've also added that. This week, donated by Chris Welch, I'm adding these two Matchbox castings. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.